All right, people of faith, let's take another walk. Let's talk on the subject of hurt and the effects of being hurt and the security of the hurt. So let's come out the gate with it. The security of hurt is money. The security, let's rephrase it. The security for a hurt person or a hurting person, it will always be money. Why? Because hurt blinds a person from foresight. So if you can't see past what's in front of you, it's like the fear of the unknown. So you need something to protect you, whatever, to secure you. And for the most part, if something physically is going to harm you, you get some kind of weapon or weaponry to protect you or put on some kind of armor. But psychologically, you need some kind of security to have somewhat of a peace of mind. So this is where we go to the highest form of power on the earth, which will be a currency. But the only thing about the currency is that it's man-made, so it has great limitations, and the limitations don't go as far as what it can do. So money is made to purchase. So for you to have more of it, you're gonna have to relinquish yourself. In other words, you're gonna have to sell yourself out to it. This is where it fulfills the statement or the saying, a person lose their soul or they sold their soul. We're selling our soul to a form of power where actually is limited, very limited. Nonetheless, if that's all you can see, then is superior. So it becomes a dangling carrot that the more you get of it, the more powerful you think that you are. And actually, that's the biggest deception, that it can be in a natural form, is to think that you're superior in the natural when everything that you're going up against is actually spiritual. So take a person who's hurting, they're going to have to sit on the throne, they're going to have to rule. So everything goes by their demand, by their orders, by their command. This fulfills the saying, misery loves company. There's not a more miserable person than a person who is withholding hurt. No matter what form or how the hurt actually has been implemented or has been applied or how it came about, the longer that the soul is numb to the pain of holding or withholding hurt, the more miserable they become. They would say they don't want company, but nonetheless they do. They need it because they can't be by themselves, because it's like imprisonment, or it's like a timeout from a disciplinarian, that you have you to reflect on yourself. And who wants to look at themselves? Who wants to look at the actual hurt? Why? Because if you're going to look at the hurt, it's going to be for one or two reasons: is to address it or to try to bury it. So that's why we get the company, and we need the company to go ahead and do all forms of enticement, so we can actually ignore actually digging it up and getting rid of it. But more, or better yet, saying it better is, so we want some form of entertainment to help us to keep it at bay, not to dig it up, not to root it up so it never comes back. But here's the flip side of that: if you get rid of the hurt, there's nothing else to do but to love, right? So that would means you would actually relinquish the throne of being a god in your own eyes, and that's what hurt does. That's why it's like a miserable throne. It's very delusional, because it will convince you that you have power, and you assume positions of power, so you can basically tell people to come and go like puppets, But nonetheless, you're miserable because you're stuck with a debt that psychologically you can't pay, because you're dealing with it in a natural form. You're trying to use a currency that's made to just do what it do. Like, money is made just to purchase. So you try to use it to that advantage to get what you want from it, but it never fulfills that. You're empty nonetheless. So this is why it goes to the point of money to drugs and drugs to this, or some form of addiction or necessity. Because why? You got to keep that hurt at bay. You don't want to let go of the hurt, so you have to do something to feed it, but at the same time try to give yourself a peace of mind. So this is where addiction comes in, at the habits and so forth. And The simplest route is just to let go of the hurt. Find the source. The problem with the most situations with us with hurt is that we don't understand it. Like the whys we feel in the way we feel, or why we can't move forward. Why can't we progress in the spiritual form? Because we haven't understood the reason why it's there. So in other words, the root of the hurt hasn't been discovered. So it has has some things in front of it to make it well disguised. And so it's like a chameleon. It's adapting to environments. So this is where you find like a social butterfly. A person is the life of the party or whatever, or they can't sit still. They have to be every place. They have the ability to adapt in any environment. Am I trying to say people should socialize? I'm not saying that at all. I am saying that hurting is withholding hurt is very delusional. It's brutal. It's torment. If you want to see a person in a state of hurt, they will say with their mouth that they have something good to say, but their actions is horrific. If they could kill somebody with a look, they would. Everything is based upon them. They are the victim in every story. Or either that, they want to be the victor in every story. Servanthood is not an option. It comes at a cost. When they serve, it's like it's all about them, in a sense of arrogance, and also in a sense of as being a victim. I'm always helping everybody, nobody's helping me. So it becomes that thing. It just hurt. They don't want to relinquish the hurt, so they find ways to bury it. It's fool's gold. It's like the hurt convinces them to believe that you're nothing without it. So you do what anything you possibly can to protect the hurt. But the hurt is torturing that person. They would like to be free. So the trick of it is like hurt captivated them with this currency, like the money currency. But they never have money. And the statement becomes like, well, I'm always helping somebody. You don't have to help everybody. But you're miserable, so you have to help everybody. The place of peace is just servanthood, that you serve without a debt. You just love to serve. You love to help. And I'm not talking about love to help those who are lovable, but everywhere you go, you just love to serve. That's when you're healthy, or at its healthiest point, because it's not about you. It's about the heart. It's about the love that's within, and that wants to show itself. And you can't withhold God's love. So that's why He doesn't dwell in an unclean temple. Take a person who is withholding hurt. It's hard for them to see God on the level where God is, because God is holy. Hurt is not holiness; it's torment. It robs the soul from peace. So how can a person be holy if they're holding hurt? So how can you see God? You can't. But with their mouth, they may have heard some doctoral messages, they may have heard some theoretic information, or some theories, some knowledge on that on a physical front or a psychological front, and they can grasp that like a fraction or equation. But to actually be in the existence of the spirit of it, where it came from, the source of it, they're not allowed, because they don't have on the proper garment. The hurt is blinding them from the truth. The truth is that the best place for any man, or the best place for existence to be is to be with God. Is to be with Him in His kingdom, where He could dwell with us and talk to us face to face. Now we say with that, I want God to talk to me, but are you willing to give up the enemy? The enemy is the hurt. And as long as we hold on to it, the enemy is fooling us to believe that we can live with it. Even if it never confesses itself, though, or it never admits to itself that hurt is there. You could tell it. You could tell that it's very aggressive, it's very angry, it's very demanding. It lacks patience. So that means it rules out that it's not kind, that it's not pure, that it's not honest, that it's not lovely, that it's not. It rules out all the traits of what God is. That's why God really don't have nothing to do with it, because it didn't come from Him. Like I said, it puts the soul in torment. So humble yourself is the best alternative. I would say the only alternative to remove the hurt. Humble yourself. And see, once again, we think the humility comes at towards the situations that we would like to humble ourselves in. So if there's a situation that we don't mind, like for example, we see a person on the corner asking for food, we humble ourselves and give them some food. It's a good deed. But nonetheless, that's not the area where your humility is asking you to stand. You actually, I mean, because more likely that hurt is a deep root. And so the humility, where humility is asking you to stand, is asking you to dig a little deeper, humble yourself a little higher. So that first person that hurt you, or the last person that hurt you, Holy Spirit will ask you to serve them in such a way where it goes past the hurt. This will be you giving up yourself to them. You being servant of it. And this is what God does with us every single time. He gives up Himself just so we can have His very best. So with that being said, my people of faith, you are the blessed. Let's be the blessing. Let's keep walking.